How's it going? Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. Who is greater, Stan Musial or Tris Speaker? Evenly matched baseball Hall of Famers. Let's get 20 categories, compare their stats, see who wins the category, who's an overall better, greater player. Career average. I'm going to plug this book here. Baseball's all-time player matchups. I wrote it, 800 pages, and that's where I get all my stats by looking it up. Career average. Stan Musial, 331. Tris Speaker, 345. 1-0 Speaker. I'll write it down here so I keep track. Speaker, 1-0. Runs scored. Stan Musial, 1949. Tris Speaker, 1888. Again, we have to do the what if, meaning that since Stan Musial played 237 more games than Speaker, add the games for Speaker, find out how many runs he scored per game average for his career. Multiply that number by the 237 more games he needs to equal the same amount of games that Stan Musial played. Following? If you do that, Speaker ends up with 2,046 runs scored. He beats Musial 2-0. And that applies to all the other categories. Find out what a person averaged in his category per games played. Let's say you play 3,000 games, you get 1 hit per game. That's 3,000 hits, okay? Because he averaged 1 hit a game. All right, third category, runs batted in. Stan Musial, 1,951. Speaker, 1,531. That's a difference of 400 runs. So he doesn't catch them. So Musial wins it. Speaker does not catch Musial in runs batted in, even if you add the 237 games. So Musial wins that category. 2-1 Speaker. Home runs. Musial 475, Speaker 117. Musial wins that 2-2. Triples. Musial 177 career. Speaker 222. 3-2 Speaker. Doubles. Musial 725, but guess what? Speaker 792. 4-2 Speaker. Singles. Musial 2253. Speaker 2383. Speaker wins it. 5-2 Speaker. Total bases. Musial 6,134. Speaker 5,101. Add the 237 games, doesn't catch up. Musial wins that. 5-3 Speaker. Slugging. Musial 559. Speaker 500. Musial wins it. It's 5-4 Speaker. On base. Musial 417 career. Speaker 428. 6-4 Speaker. Base on balls. Musial 1599. Speaker 1381. Give it to Musial. 6-5 Speaker. Stolen bases. Musial 78. Didn't run. Speaker 436. 7-5 Speaker in categories. 100 RBI seasons. Musial had 10. Speaker just 2. Musial wins it. 100 RBI runs, no, 100 runs scored seasons. Musial 11, Speaker 7. Give it to Musial. They're tied 7-7 after 14 categories. Most runs scored in a season. Musial had 135 one year, but Speaker 137, 8-7 Speaker. RBIs, highest for Musial 131, for Speaker 130. They're evenly matched, but you got to give it to Musial. 8-8 after 16 categories. Highest average in a season. Musial 376. Speaker 389. 9-8. Speaker. Most hits in a season. Musial 230. Speaker 222. Give it to Musial. It's 9-9 after 18 categories. .200 hits seasons. How many? Musial had 6. Speaker 4. 10-9. Musial in the lead. And last category, the 20th category, career hits. Musial 3,630 in 22 years. Speaker 3,514. So that's a difference of 120 hits. But Musial played 237 more games. How many hits per game did Speaker average? Multiply that by 237. He comes out with 3,812 hits. You know what happened just right here? After 20 categories, they're tied 10-10, evenly matched. Nobody wins it. Musial 3,000 games. Speaker 27 plus 2,700 games. 2,789 to be exact. And Musial 3,026 games. At bats, interesting, 10,972 for Musial. Speaker 10,195. That's a difference of about 700 at bats. What do you think of these guys? They're both Hall of Famers, quality. Speaker wins in average, career average, runs scored. Triples, doubles, singles, on base, stolen bases, most runs scored in a season, highest average in a season, and career hits. Musial wins in runs batted in, home runs, total bases, slugging, base on balls, 100 RBI season, 100 runs scored seasons, most RBI in a season, most hits in a season, most 200 hit seasons. 10-10, both of them. Who do you take? You want to ask me the question? Who would I take? You can only take one on your team. Stan Musial, Tris Speaker. That's a tough one. That is really tough. Speaker has the better average over Musial, 345 to 331. That's a difference of 14 points. They played 22 years. 345 average. You got to consider that. He scores more runs. He's on base more. 428 on base to Musial's 417. He steals more bases, Musial, Speaker. He has more career hits. He has a higher average in a season than Musial. 389 to Musial's 376. Do you take Speaker because of that? Or do you consider Musial, who has more runs batted in, more home runs, he's more of a slugger, better slugging percentage, more walks, more 100 RBI seasons, more 100 runs scored seasons. He has more hits in a season, and he has more 200 hit seasons. What do you prefer? You prefer the slugging and the hitting, or the slugging and the RBIs? Or do you consider the career average and the more career total hits? And Speaker has more doubles, triples, and singles. Musial, more home runs, slugging, walks. I'm going to have to lean. Here's a way to decide it. Let's look up who struck out more. Would you guess? Who struck out more, Stan Musial or Tris Speaker? All right, here's what we'll do. I'm going to look them up because you got to go to Baseball Reference. Put in Stan Musial, Stan the Man Musial. Let's see how many times he struck out. This usually is a deciding factor for me. For his career, Stan Musial struck out 696 times in over 10,972 at-bats. That's incredible. Some guys strike out 200 times in a season. But for 22 years, Musial 696. What did Tris Speaker strike out? I don't know. I have to look it up. Tris Speaker. How many times did he strike out? $393. And he had 10,195 at-bats. Sorry, Stan. I'm going to go with Tris Speaker. 345 career average. More runs scored. More triples, doubles, and singles. On base more. More stolen bases. Highest average in a season over Musial. More career total hits. Even though Musial will slug the ball more and he had 475 homers to Speaker's 117. And Musial has more total bases, more 100 RBI seasons and more 100 runs scored seasons. And most hits in a season over Speaker and more 200 hit seasons. Musial is a good hitter, but here's the deciding factor. What did I just say? Musial struck out 696 times. Speaker 393. Contact hitter. Now it's different era, right? Tris Speaker played from 1907 to 1928. Not striking out as much. Is that because the pitching is not as good? I don't know. He had some good ones, good pitchers. I mean, the Babe struck out. Just for example, it's kind of the same era. Babe Ruth played 1914 to 1935, right? So in that era, and Babe Ruth had a 342 lifetime average. So was the pitching a factor? Let's look it up. How many times did Babe Ruth strike out? 1,330 times. So if he's striking out a lot, where Speaker is not, Speaker's a good hitter and he has a better average than Ruth, but Ruth dominates him in categories. He wins he wins most of the categories. So you got to take Ruth over Speaker because of the overall production. So the argument that the pitching wasn't as good during that time, I'm not buying it. Because if Ruth strikes out 1,300 times and Speaker only 393, indicates that Speaker's a good hitter. Now, when did Stan Musial play? What era? Was the pitching a little tougher? He played from 1941 to 1963. Was the pitching tougher then? Did you know that during the war years, some of those pitchers went into the service? And Musial went into the service too in 1945. So the pitching in some of those years not as good. Bob Feller went into the military, right? So was pitching tougher during Speaker's time or easier? Tougher during Musial's time or easier? I'm not buying it either way. If you're a hitter, you got to hit. And if you're not striking out, you're pretty good. Both of them did not strike out very much, but Speaker gets the edge in my book. I take Tris Speaker. Who do you take? Stan the Man? I don't mind if you do. Thanks for watching. I'm out.